Well, hi, good morning. Thanks so much for joining me in my shop here on a beautiful, cool, sunny day. And what am I going to do today? Today I'm going to try to get past this problem that I pretty clearly, sort of clearly identified as the IF transformer, or something to do with the first IF transformer in the radio. So it's a bit of an intermittent problem. It has the potential to turn into a permanent problem, I would imagine, and maybe one that's very hard to solve. I don't really know exactly what's gone wrong in the radio. I think it's some kind of a poor connection sort of thing happening. Symptoms are radio works, and then without much warning, radio stops working. Output drops to like 1%. It just falls right off. It's still there, but it's way, way, way off. And you can restore the output. There's a dog barking in my shop. So what you're hearing is my neighbor's dog. Let me show you something here. So I have a cat cam set up today. It's out on my deck. No cats in sight, but often they're within range of this view. And the microphone is live out there. And you can hear some birds singing. The microphone is playing through a speaker here in my shop. And that dog barking is my neighbor's dog, who is a major barker out there. So that's what you're hearing in the background, is sound coming out of a speaker from a microphone out on my deck, basically. Okay, just having a little bit of fun with the outdoor or the mobile camera arrangement and kind of learning about how it can and can't be used. So, in thinking about this problem and not wanting to have it blow up and become, a disaster, I'm proceeding very, very slowly. I spent a fair bit of time trying to prove that the problem is right in that transformer. Sure looks that way. But I'm not anxious to get in there and start fooling around with it for fear of just setting it off setting it off would be the word, just finishing it off by accident. So I've got a couple ideas here. One is to simply solder all the terminals on the transformer up in here. Just 4 terminals, just solder them again. And maybe the problem is some kind of solder connection problem that's causing the effect that's happening. Maybe that would eliminate it. Maybe not. Another possibility is to identify any components like capacitors or resistors that are connected to that circuit in such a way that if a weird problem happened in them, then we would get this kind of event taking place, and then go and replace those components. That's really, I think, my first step. And I'm not sure there are any components that are in such an arrangement. After that, it's all kind of downhill from there. It's take out the transformer, fool around with it. So let's see if we can find a bad component hooked up to that coil. That would be great. Okay, so here's the schematic, and this is the first IF transformer, and I believe it's this wire here that if I tap it, yeah, there's a capacitor, alright. There's a capacitor right there inside the can. Pretty sure this is it. Well, you know, they haven't drawn a box. C23. Usually these are in the can, but not necessarily. Let's take a look. C23. How big is that? C23. Oh, I just heard my cat's bell come out of that speaker. One. What? What's that mean? 100 plus 100. Same thing here. Why would they do that? Why not just have a 200 there? C2324. C2324. Mica. Why are they showing them like this? Here's another one that's shown with this bracket. It's two in one. 2 inside 1. can. I think this is their way of saying these two are inside the can. Now, if they're not, I can see them on the outside. I would be able to see them. But like I say, these are usually inside the can, and sometimes these aren't even standard capacitors. Sometimes they are inherent in the structure that's supporting the coils. Now, I don't think that's the case in these, but these are a little older for that. But this is bad news. Let me see if I can find these on the outside. What was the size again? 100 picofarads. Okay, I'm gonna go hunt and see if they're on the outside. So there's the transformer. There's the lead. Let's just follow each one. So the black wire just goes to there. Goes to a tube terminal. The white wire comes down. Oh. Hey, what's going on? So what's probably going on, I'm just going to turn down the barking here. You know, virtually everything in my shop has problems. Leave it like that. Yeah, he's probably barking at another dog going by on the street. People love to walk their dogs on my street. There's not much traffic out there. Okay, so we were following this white wire, and we see it's got connections now in. Which one? So it's actually the blue wire is the one I've been tapping, but we'll focus on that later. Let's just see how many components we can find. So there's a capacitor there. Doesn't look like it's properly soldered, but it is. It's solid as can be. And then wires going every which way from here. So white wire coming over here. Why white? What's that? That's got to be soldered on there, right? Is that something I did? Did I do that? It's a little weird. Okay. Well, that's where it goes. It goes down to the switch here. Could a switch be implicated? Wow. You think about a switch. It's a contact. I mean, you could have microscopic interferences with the contact that could potentially be affected by a little tap and shot of charge. It's kind of the effect in this radio. I don't think I put those in there. I don't have any recollection of doing something like that. Well, so the switch could be implicated. You know, have I ever tried wiggling? I think I have tried wiggling the switch to bring back the set, and it didn't do anything. So that's one white wire. There's lots of components on it. See some of those green capacitors I put in there don't look very good, do they? I just need more light here. These are really tricky to get in. Yes, I see the red wire hanging right there. How could this be in any way implicated in it? The red wire just goes up to the back of the volume control here, where you can see I've cut away this resistor, and I don't remember why. I don't remember why. And the volume does a funny thing when you turn the volume rate down. The radio goes into a funny oscillation. And it could be because of this, sure. It could be because of that. That's something else to deal with once the radio starts working again properly. So the white wire goes all over the place, and this way the white wire goes, the other white wire goes up, goes through here. It's basically the antenna terminals in this area. So another capacitor. Why would I have changed this one? That looks cold. That joint looks cold. This is miles from where the problem is occurring though. Okay, let's go back miles. Now follow the blue wire. This is the one when I tap on it with a metal implement, the radio will shift from not working to working. So this is really, so it goes straight to a tube pin, no components on it. I'm gonna guess it's from the red wire here, B+. So B+, well, that, you know, that goes everywhere in the radio. There'll be lots of components on it, I would imagine, somewhere. So the thing is, since it's the electrical shock that's resetting the radio, that electrical shock could be traveling down this wire anywhere, and you know, the component that's responsible, whatever it is, could be anywhere on the radio if it's on the B+ line. Now it's the blue wire. When I tap that's triggered it, but I can't say I've really experimented with the other ones. And I was also left with a question of if the B+ is always present, which it is, regardless of the state of the radio, then is it really the secondary side that's got weirdness on it? So what could be happening? Well, I'm asking myself, what could be happening that when it happens, it kills the signal from here forward without killing the B+? Well, that sounds like something's not passing the signal on. You know, so the signal secondary side comes out probably the black and the white wire. Probably the black wire is the one that's actually carrying it over to this tube. I mean, what can happen to it? There's nothing there. There's no, yeah. And could this problem be occurring because of the inside of a tube? Could it be something in a tube? Yeah, I don't see why it can't be. Maybe I should switch. Yeah, you know what? Before pulling this transformer out and destroying the radio, I should really change that tube. That's the 6K8 there, isn't it? No, that's not the 6K8. This is the 6K8 up here. But it's got the blue wire on it. I should really put a different tube in. Although I tested it, I don't think that's proving anything. Well, that's a good idea. I think that's a very good idea. Put another tube in, and then carry on and see if the problem reoccurs. That's really a good idea. Why didn't I think of that sooner? Too many other ideas in the way. Okay, gotta fish out the tube here. So I've taken a moment to relocate the camera, give a better shot. There you can see Peanut laying in the sun there. And it's hard to see, but if you look down here, you can see the collar right there of my other cat. She sits right there because just up here is our bird feeders, which are empty right now because we don't feed the birds in the summer. We feed them in the winter, but that's her lookout spot. She watches. And she's like a hawk watching. He's knocked out. that's typical here at my house for these two guys. Okay, so I don't have very many 6K8s. I got this one. Now this is a two-part tube, but my tube tester here only tests it as one test. It's not quite as good, but I'm not going to run around with other tube testers. Last time around when I tried that, I discovered one of my tube testers needs to spend some time on my bench. Okay. Oh. Make sure the grid cap's on. No shorts. 6K. K8 should come up to only 780, which is about here. Okay, so that ranks as a good tube on this tester. Remember, what we're trying to eliminate from the radio is a weird intermittent problem. So even if the other tube tests good, it could still have this weird intermittent problem. Okay, put this in. And I guess we're going to have to operate the radio and then leave it operating for a time and see if the problem develops. Can you hear the woodpecker outside? Let me turn up my speaker here. I think I turned it up. There we go. That's the woodpecker. Put in the replacement. Now that's probably a hairy woodpecker. It's a small woodpecker. But we have a great big one in our neighborhood this year. A big pileated. I've got some video on it of it. Maybe I can include a piece in this video. That could be what we're hearing, but generally the pileated's a big bird, so when it pecks, it goes peck, 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 peck. It doesn't sound like machine gun like that. That's a little woodpecker. Okay. So let's just see if we can turn this guy on. We got hooked up here. Pull everything off the radio. So we have the speaker connected, we have the signal generator connected, but nothing happening with it. So we're going to put a regular antenna on it. An irregular antenna. Okay. Scope doesn't really have to be here. We need either of these connected. It's pretty much the radio and its antenna. Ground to that meter, which we don't need. These off my bench. It's good for me to straighten up a little bit just before I turn something on. So if something goes wild, I don't have an awful lot to think about. I can act kind of automatically. And what would that be? What would happen? Radio comes on super loud. That's about all that could really happen there. Okay. We're ready here, I'm pretty sure. Dim pulse. There we go. Volume is up a little bit. Band we're on the broadcast band. Full power here. Sounds like some wind on my deck microphone. Okay, so that's a typical interference signal I hear on broadcast. There's no shortage of volume. Radio's working. Can we get anybody? Let me take the ground off here. Let me put it back on. It's definitely in working mode. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave this playing, and I'm going to come in periodically and see if it's still playing. So we're at 9:38 in the morning. Just leave it like that. That's a nice moderate volume. Come back in a while and see if it's still going. Well, other than some bird singing, I don't hear anything. I hear an airplane. Not from this radio though. So that absolutely eliminates the tube as the source of the problem. That's one tube. Now there's another one that I sort of can't see how it could be involved, but let's eliminate it. Power off here. Let me look here. Closer here. So I'm a little disturbed. I was kind of hoping that would do the trick, but no. So I'm looking for some kind of connection between the transformer and this tube, which is right next to it. And offhand, I don't see anything. Let me look at the schematic again. I think I gotta warm up the soldering iron and do the connection resoldering job. Let's look at the schematic first, though. Okay. So this is probably the white wire which just went on to everywhere. You can see it just goes everywhere in this radio. On the secondary side. On the primary side, which is coming from the supply, and we know the supply never fails. It's always live to here. We have the output from here going into V3. This is the tube I just changed and it had no effect. So the primary is fed through here, but I didn't do anything on the secondary side. Why don't we change V3? V3 is it's a 6SK7, isn't it? 6SK7. There's two of them in this radio. I could swap them, but that might not be a good thing. I'll put another 6SK7 in place of V3. We'll see what happens. Okay, here we go with the 6SK7 test. 6SK7, this should come above 1520. So 1520 is right there, right in the middle, way above. Okay, so we'll put this tube in place of the V3. Run the radio again. See what happens. V3. Okay. It's good. So it's starting up in the defective position. So we know that tube didn't help at all. So I'm going to put it back to the tube that was in there. Something loose in that tube. Usually that kind of stuff is caught in the base, but not necessarily. Not very reassuring, is it? Okay. That's a 6SK7. Some weird stuff going on out on my deck. Planes flying over, birds singing. Okay. So we should power it up again. I'm going to get it in the non-working mode. A lot of weird sounds, aren't they? Oh, I meant to put this back in. We'll do it next time around. So we're in the not working state. I'm going to tap that wire. Let me just... Okay, so I've turned off the speaker for the outside sound. We won't hear that now. All we're going to hear is from this radio. I'm going to tap with a small metal screwdriver. Turn the volume down here, or we're going to be pretty disappointed. Here we go. I can't see it. If I tapped it, you could hear the click. It didn't fix the radio. Usually I'm tapping it with something a little more significant. Let's just try this voltmeter lead from a voltmeter not turned on. Oh. Did it come back there for a moment and then went away again? I really need more light. So I'm injecting a big noise signal with this, of course. It's coming right through the radio. That sort of suggests everything's working beyond this. Well, that kind of makes sense too. Let me touch the... I can't imagine this is going to do anything. That's the B+. These are the secondaries. You see what I did? I picked up a charge from the B+. There. Oops, I lost it. And I have a charge in this wire, in the meter, and I can drop the charge here. You hear that? Okay, it's not so dramatic. Let's try it again. Charge it up. Drop it off. Isn't that exciting? No. One more wire to touch. Here. Okay, just injecting sound beyond. It doesn't sound the same as it did. Well, wasn't that a lot louder a minute ago? Not wanting to come back like it has. Isn't that a bad sign? I'm just totally concerned that the problem is not what I think it is. It's something else. And I'm on my way to doing a lot of work and taking a lot of risk. Meanwhile, the problem is somewhere else. And that's why I'm so hesitant to try to take those transformers out of there. Well, I'm left with the resoldering step now. Okay, I'm going to resolder all of those connections. Okay. See what that does. One of the things I've gotten comfortable with in doing this work on video is showing my stupid moves. Here's a stupid move. I put the radio upside down here. I get a much better look in here. That's fantastic. And while I'm looking here, I looked over and realized I didn't put a tube back in here. The last test went with no tube in there. How the heck did I do that dumb move? So we're going to stick a tube in there and try this radio out again. Oh, man. Okay, let's give it another try here with the tube in. Interesting that didn't it sound kind of exactly the same with the tube missing as it does when the tube is in and the things aren't working. It's kind of an interesting observation. Here we go. Upside down radio. Volume's down. Turn up a bit. Just checking to see if I have any other tubes missing. Okay, so it's in the dead state right from the start. It has not been in the working state for a while now. And we'll try the touch something, bring it back to life. Here, you're going to get a really good view of this now. Okay. Come to life. No. So yeah, maybe in the state already now where this is just the way it's going to work for good until I really sort out what the problem is. I'm on the broadcast band, feeding a signal into the shortwave, feeding an antenna into the shortwave antenna, not into the broadcast antenna. If I go listening around here, because I'm on the broadcast band, I have a signal tracer that'll do the trick. Let's give it a try. Again. Now, what we're looking for is pretty much the kind of sound we're hearing. Let me just set my... so we're on RF, and we want to be on band B, somewhere tuned roughly where the radio is tuned. The radio is tuned up around, let's say, up around 800, 900, somewhere around here. That's me tuning the tracer. Okay, we'll go right in on the feed to the grid of the mixer tube, which is the blue wire, which is the sensitive wire, which is where everything's happening. Okay, and on the volume control there. That's what we hear. I'm going to use a clip lead here because every time I move with the volume up high, we get a big pop. And I just as soon not have the big pop. Oh my. Okay. Ready for a re-soldering. I touched that terminal, nothing happened. I went to put the clip on it and I moved it a little bit and that triggered it. Now it doesn't mean it's a cold joint. The problem could be at the other end of the terminal inside the transformer. But from here my best move is simply to re-solder the outside. Maybe click my heels together a couple times. Hope this doesn't render it dead for good. But, I think probably if this doesn't really settle it down, my next step is to take the transformer out and probably replace the capacitors that are in it. If that can be done. Probably can be done. Okay. Holding it there for a while, let some heat travel. Just do this, just the one connection. I would like, if we do solve the problem, to know what it was I did. What the problem really was. If I resolder everything, then we don't really know. Okay, I give this like a 2% chance of fixing this radio. That's not very good, is it? Here we are. Lots of volume now. all that work, and that's what it turned out to be. So I'm going to leave this guy running. Just like that. Let me try a different antenna here. Just a piece of wire. I think a couple videos ago I went on about how you gotta have a loop antenna to make these radios work well. And then I was demonstrating this to somebody here at my house, and it turned out a piece of 6-inch wire did better than the loop antenna I was using. I couldn't believe it. So this might just be a little less noisy. But I don't hear the station. Well, let's keep playing around with this radio because we're waiting for it to stop working. And I have a loop antenna. So I'm going to go. Oh. Well, that sounds like it stopped. Okay, never mind with all that. Let's put that outdoor antenna back on it. See what happens here. Just to compare. No, it's still working. As you take the antenna off, it sounds like it's dead because there's no signal. Okay, I will get that loop antenna. I'll just leave this. Leave it. Leave it alone. I'll go get it. Okay, so the loop antenna is sitting here. It's connected via this wire, just straight to the antenna terminals with some clip leads, unfortunately. It's kind of a lousy way to do it, but that's how I've done it. This is a tuned loop antenna. The tuning knob's here. And it's also quite directional. It's pretty good right there. Well, so far the radio's working. Okay, that's the next problem to deal with. If I've solved this one, then the next problem is this rumbling here. But I'm going to leave the radio operating, and I'll come back in a while and see what happens. Well, it's working. It's showing no signs of that problem. Let's see if we can quiet it down here. There. It may, in retrospect, seems kind of silly that I went through all that process to simply reheat one connection and have it fixed. But I really want to know exactly what it is that's going wrong in these radios. I don't like the idea, do a wholesale something and then, oh, now it's working. It must have been one of those things. I'd like to know. And I also, as you I'm sure are aware, freaking out over the risk of ruining this radio. But I haven't ruined it, which is the primary objective. Okay, why don't we try to solve this funny problem here? And the first thing to think about is I can't remember why I cut this wire right here, this resistor lead, and the red wire, you can't quite see it down here, watch your fingers here, red wire down here is this red wire here on the volume control. So and even questionably, we could be questionable about this. What's this red wire doing coming here? Now that's probably where it's supposed to go, but I can't remember the nasty things I might have done to this radio, perhaps in error. You also have this double capacitor arrangement. That's probably, I should replace this. I must have done this because I didn't have a certain size capacitor, and I did that back then. So we can reconnect this resistor easy enough and see what happens. Can I just clip one end of a clip lead onto it? Well, not much so far. Now that resistor goes to ground. So I just put a ground. It's 22K ground on that. Gets worse. That oscillating gets worse. I'm going to take a couple minutes. I don't know, maybe it's something I was doing and I forgot to finish it or something. I'm going to take a couple minutes here. I'm going to study the circuit around here and see if I can't reason out where this wire that I cut should go. And put it there. Just kind of restore the radio to its proper arrangement. Okay, so the two blue capacitors should be 50 picofarad, but when I look at them, aside from what their size might be, they come down to this terminal. I mean, this is my own work here I'm looking at. They come down to this terminal. This terminal has nothing else connected to it. Oh, you know what? That's a ground. That's a ground terminal. That's a grounded terminal by the, you probably can't see it, the nut there. That's the grounded terminal. Okay. Grounded to the chassis terminal. Grounded to the chassis terminal. And the capacitor, I think that one is not. Okay. Come on and join me on the schematic here. We'll try to sort this out here. Okay, so volume control is here. Okay. Input side of the volume control is here. Arrow represents the slider. Dot represents the tap on the back of the... this is the resistor where I cut the lead here. And then we find the capacitor coming all the way over here to another capacitor resistor connection point. So this is the red wire coming over, and it's meeting R20 and C40. R20 is 33K, and I'm looking right at the 33K resistor where that red wire should go. So that works. Okay, now the other issue in here is the 50 coming off the input side of the volume control. So here. So here it is here. Yeah, it does. It goes to ground. So this C30 is C30. C30. Yeah, right in the bottom corner here. 50 picofarad. So I'm going to put a 50 picofarad in there. I'm sure I have one now. I guess I didn't back then. And that might clean things up a wee bit. Then I'll just reconnect everything the way it was, and we'll see what it was that was disturbing me, and why I disconnected it in the first place. Okay, off with the power. Okay, I'll get all that done. I'm gonna get that done. Then we'll see what happens. Okay, so I've replaced the two in series here. It turns out these are two 100s, which in series would be a 50, which is what's supposed to be in there. So potentially the right size was in there. Got that guy in there, got this guy soldered back, got the red wire reconnected, so it's restored to the way it should be, the way which I'm guessing must have been a problem, and I was trying to solve it last time. I wonder if it was the same thing. I just can't remember. Here we go. Looking fine. Volume so-so. Sounds like we're in the operating state here. Yeah, it's just we're listening to noise. Where'd the go? It's gone. What was I trying to do? Who knows? Okay. Maybe I bumped this at some point.
In the win, Stephen Max gets the decision. The series will finish up this afternoon. Nate here. The starter first pitch goes just after 2 hours on Sportsnet or Sportsnet Now. You can also listen right here on Sportsnet 590. The Fan. The Raptors fall to the Grizzlies 109-99. Fall to the Red Bulls. The race is just about to get started. Surprise, surprise. Lewis Hamilton sits in pole position. Streaming live on your favorite smart speaker. This is Toronto Sports Radio. Sportsnet 590.
590.
Sportsnet 590. The Fan.
590 The Fan.
Inside the line. Fueled by Sports Interaction.
Put my hand right on the antenna.
Not a formula.
That kind of freaked me out there for a second. What happened?
Inside the line. Sponsored by Sports Interaction. Canada's oddsmaker along the Sportsnet Radio Network. The season finale of the program later on this hour. Matthew Friedman, content creator for the X.
Oh, it still does that.
Acceptable podcast.
Something funny right there. Seems like I cross a threshold and then the radio comes in on its own afterwards. Yeah, I don't know. Some critical factor there. Now what about that? So now I'm able to quiet the radio and not go all the way to here, but I still would like to get rid of that. It strikes me it's an AVC problem. AVC is tied in with the volume control kind of coincidentally or accidentally. It's reasonable to kind of think it's in the AVC. I think I'm going to make that tomorrow's project because I'm at a pretty good point here now. It's a good time to stop and go out and enjoy all the wonderful sunshine out there. So that's great. Okay, so I'm an awful lot of lead up to resoldering one terminal, but look, I didn't blow it. I didn't ruin this radio. That's the main thing. So thanks a lot for watching, and tomorrow we'll go after the motorboating problem and see if we can't get this radio ready to be realigned. That's really what I want to do. I thought this whole thing would be like a one-day project. Fooled me again. See ya. You hear it, but you don't see it. Yes, there are chickens here. My neighbor raises chickens on a special program that the city of Aurelia has introduced, and they're among the first residents in the town to experiment with raising chickens in their backyard. So neighbor gives us some chicken eggs. And you can wonder where my cats are. My cats are a little bit afraid of the chickens. There's 3 of them, and they run around during the afternoon. The chicken's squawking right now because it's laying an egg. That's what's happening. And that chicken is quite a ways away. You can't see it. It's up in this area, but you just can't see it because this has become green now. The leaves have come out on this. The chicken coop is behind here in the neighbor's backyard. Oh, maybe that's it. I guess the egg is out. Oh, maybe not.